what a Trump administration will actually look like. This man is not lying. I'll tell you this. Well, he is a liar, but he's not lying when he tells you what he's going to do. Donald Trump is very particular, and the people around him are very particular about what they want to see. And the vision for this country that they want to see is a white ethno state. They are talking about, they're talking about getting rid of birthright citizenship and appointing all of these different judges and things to cut regulations. And, what we have to look forward to is seeing a bunch of appointments and hirings of crazy people like Stephen Miller, that we've already seen. Stephen Miller is now the
deputy chief of staff.
We're going to look at Marco Rubio being the Department of the chair of Department of.
I thought it was Secretary of State. Yeah,
Secretary of State.
That's what I read. I hope that's wrong, but.
We're going to see a bunch of appointments and hirings of the most radical people in this country. We're going to be removing and undermining a bunch of government agencies like the Department of Education, like the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. So I just want us to go through a little bit of the type of people that Donald Trump has around him and what their thought process is, because this thought process is going to be in the White House. These same people from 2016, they're back, they're better. They spent 8 years trying to figure it out since 2016, and they're ready to put this stuff into motion. And so this first guy, Mike Davis, essentially, a lawyer for Donald Trump, who's running the Article 3 project. And Article 3 project, they describe it as bringing brass knuckles to fight leftist lawfare. Whatever that word salad means. So, he's been going around in the media circuit lately, was on Steve Bannon and some other shows. This is what this man is tweeting. Like, look up, like, if we can get in on that.
Drag their dead political bodies through the streets, burn them, and throw them off the wall. Legally, politically, and financially, of course. He had to put that disclaimer at the end because this is incendiary, right?
Very incendiary. I mean, this is giving like Red Scare. This is giving like COINTELPRO. This guy.
He's describing a lynching, if you notice, but.
Yeah, he's describing a lynching. But what they're wanting to do is literally use all the levers of government and the law to go after maybe pro-abortionist activists. Again, going after, Black Lives Matter, or just like pro-Black activists, or just like people who want to see better accountability to the police. And, they're planning to go after these people.
A real war on woke.
A real war on it. And a point where, and now the Supreme Court did this a while ago, but made him immune. Made these people immune, made the president immune. Yeah. And all the president has to do is tell these people to do it. And then he can, pardon them or make them immune too. So what we're going to see is quite crazy stuff. And I want to play this clip too, of him, like, just going into what he means by using, the law to go after their political enemies.
Okay. For praying at an abortion clinic while they give amnesty to Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, every scumbag Biden that took over $20 million from our worst enemies, BLM, Antifa, Hamas, Planned Parenthood, activists, trans terrorists. There is going to be a reckoning on January 20th at noon, because we are going.
Oh boy, a reckoning he calls for against, what did he say, trans terrorists, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and Hamas. Those are, all those groups put together is kind of absurd, but just that kind of terminology, the wording that he's using, it lets you know how serious this is. And he says on January 20th, they plan to start launching these political attacks. And what's that going to look like? I
was just about to say, like, you have to really think about what is that going to look like. And I don't see how it doesn't look like having military going up and down our streets. And they're not stopped from doing that, really. I mean, they can do whatever they want. They can just pardon themselves. They can excuse it. They can make the president immune to all of these decisions. Like, they can do whatever they want to do now.
Yeah.
And if they can't, they'll just make it legal.
So, and that's the scary point, because I think what Trump has been touting and what a lot of people seem to have voted for was this deregulatory approach. And he's going to pretty much, and we saw this in the Project 2025 writing, a lot of it is about taking out the state's regulatory or apparatus. And I don't think people recognize that just simply takes us back to the time before, where we didn't have regulations in place. And we could go back to the Pure Food and Drugs Act in the 1920s, and that was put in by Roosevelt. Or we could look at the creation of the EPA. We could look at the creation of this different departments that are put in place to protect the country from people who may be operating in their sole interest, but not in the country's best interest. And now we seem to want to move away from that.
And again, this guy has Trump's ear. Like, he is next to him. Trump got so many legal problems that he got to be best friends with all his lawyers. Like, this guy is what's telling Donald Trump what he can and can't do. And if he can't do it, he's figuring out ways that he can. Let's look at this other clip of Mike Davis on this show with Benny Johnson. I don't know who this guy is, but he's Mike Davis is on this show again, going into what he is going to do. They're not lying to us.
Let me just say this to Big Tish James, the New York Attorney General. I dare you to try to continue your lawfare against President Trump in his second term, because listen here, sweetheart, we're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat ass in prison for conspiracy against rights. And I promise you that. So Think long and hard before you want to violate President Trump's constitutional rights or any other American's constitutional rights. It's not going to happen again.
We've been warning people on the show, Mike. This isn't the same Trump administration.
This isn't the same Trump administration. They've gotten even harder. And first of all, why are you looking at her ass? Now, we all know it is fat. It is fat, but they're literally coming after, they're coming after all of us.
Wow.
Every attorney general out there, or whoever, prosecutor, they're coming after everybody that they think wronged Donald Trump and wronged them. They're coming after in every way possible.
That was so inflammatory. Imagine making that threat against a prosecutor, saying, if you try to do your job, if you try to go after someone, right or wrong, that's what prosecutors do, right? So he's saying, you will be punished. So, I mean, this is a very marked tone that I think we should all be paying attention to. I'm very interested to see what comes next. I think we all need to remain very alert of what's going on and expect that there may be people trying to trample on our civil liberties and rights in a way that we have not experienced in recent American history. For African American people, this is very alarming to us, because we don't want to go back to what life was like for Black people here in this country in the 1950s and the 1960s. But it seems that many Americans are intent on moving us back in that direction. So we're going to have to talk about what are we going to do about this, and because we're not going to stand for it. We definitely can't allow this to happen without a fight.
Yeah, we need some real soul searching here as a community, as a Black community in general, of what it actually looks like to protect each other, to protect ourselves. We're really going to have to be very resistant in this next administration.